Hello, friends. Welcome to the Career Guru Podcast. I am your host, Steve Yanofsky. What a glorious day it is to start your path on a new career. Doors are opening here at the Boston Career Institute even as we speak. And I'm here holding the key for you. So tune in, stay sharp, and enjoy yourself. This is going to be great. Hashtag Let's Career Up.
Greetings, my friends, conversationalists, thrill seekers, career gurus, aspiring career gurus, all sorts of wonderful people who are here within the reach of my voice. It is I, Steve Yanofsky, your career guru, coming to you across the magic of the internet and other waves that surround our wonderful blue planet. It's a pleasure and a privilege to be with you once again. And today's podcast is what is becoming a tradition on or about Thanksgiving, where yours truly addresses his audience with a true story, true historical account of Thanksgiving. It is no secret that Thanksgiving is my favorite holiday because since we came to the United States many years ago at this point in time, it was expressed to me that this day was indeed the holiday of immigrants, and it is, and rightfully so. We've been told wonderful stories about the American Indians, the Native Americans, whatever the name du jour is for the native inhabitants of these lands. And how the story of Thanksgiving came about, the turkey, the corn, the this, that, and the other thing, and how everything worked out marvelously, and so on and so forth. But there is a true and real historical accounts of indeed what happened on Thanksgiving and what it is that we are supposed to be grateful for. And no, it's not the turkey. No, it's not the corn. No, it's not the American Indians, even though that every single one of these components do have an amazing part of the story of Thanksgiving. And so let's journey back to the 17th century, 1600s, early 1600s, when the Church of England began their persecution under the then King James I of any kind of religious separatists. The Church of England has its own sordid little story of its separation from the Catholic Church. We're not talking about that today, but their own orthodox dogma was most that they could do. And so a lot of people decided to flee England to the then most enlightened country in Europe, the Netherlands, if you want to call it, a Denmark. And from there, the religious separatists, who were known as Pilgrims at the time, the religious separatists from the Church of England, who wanted to, basically, they were a branch of various forms of Christianity, Protestant movement, who worshipped God in their own unique way. And they wanted to be free of the shackles of the dogma of the church. Whatever the church that was dominant at the time, whether it was Catholic Church or the Byzantine branch of the Orthodox Christianity, it was, basically a religious revival that began to take place. It was deeply religious people. And so, sometime around 1620, 102 passengers set sail on the Mayflower. Mayflower was a tiny little ship. It was about 50 feet long. A very tiny ship set sail on the Atlantic. They weren't exactly sure where they were going. I mean, they knew the destination because this route has already been traveled fairly extensively, and we'll come back to that a little bit. People have been making their way to the New World, as the United States, well, not the United States, North America was known at the time. And they wanted to create their new religious haven based on biblical principles. And they wanted to create a new, just and moral society based on these principles. So all these 102 people set sail. Miraculously, all of them made it to New England. William Bradford led this group of separatists. And while on Mayflower, he had put together the Mayflower Compact, just and equal laws rooted in their belief of what they understood were biblical principles. In November, in 1620, Pilgrims landed in New England. It was a barren wilderness. There were no shelters. There were no stores. There were no natives doing business with anyone. Just plain empty land. Now, we're now in November in New England. Look outside. It's cold. It's dark. It's dank. It's awful. It was even more awful back then. They come right in time for this winter. They barely managed to get through. More than half of people die in the first winter of disease, exposure to the elements, starvation, malnutrition, whatever the case may be. And in the spring of 1621, first real contact with the Native Americans here. The survivors basically make contact with the natives who graciously teach them how to fish, how to plant corn. This is the historical precedent here. A few things that transpired. And why is this conversation taking place right now? Why am I speaking about the holiday of Thanksgiving, and in particular the Mayflower Compact and William Bradford, all those people? Why are we having this conversation? Well, we'll address this as we move forward. Now, let's not forget that to get on the ship, today, it's fairly easy to buy a plane ticket. I mean, if you want to fly to Europe, you can get there for about $500 round trip from the United States, and you'll be there in, I don't know, depending where you're going, 5, 6, 7 hours, and you're there. It's an amazing thing. It's an amazing feat. But back then, it took a lot longer, and it was significantly more expensive. So the Pilgrims, on their way to the Promised Land, which is the way they refer to the New World, had to secure financial backing of sponsors back in England. They secured that sponsorship by various guarantees that in these fertile shores, which they were all hoping they would be able to plant food, trap animals, as, gain various commodities that they could easily send back, and repay for the funds that were granted to them to secure their voyage here to the New World. The sponsors required, to some extent, that all of the stock would be communal, meaning there was common ownership of everything that would be grown or trapped or caught, whatever the case may be. Everything would go into a common store. Okay, most people wouldn't be able to profit from anything. Everything had to go into this pool that would be used to repay the sponsors. However, a few interesting things happened. People didn't produce. Even though they were steeped in religious principles and they were determined to become this new world order, if you will. Notice I'm using these terms which are floating up, periodically here and there in our consciousness today. In the news that we watch, we hear things: common store, commonwealth. They're coming around, okay? And we're hearing, how good it can be where everything is common, where people share and the like. And it's wonderful, I know, if you don't remember and if you don't understand human nature. But once you do understand human nature, you would understand that none of these things can actually work. But the Pilgrims thought that they could pull it off based on their deep-seated and internalized religious fervor. But in the first year, for some strange reason, the common store was empty. What happened? As William Bradford quickly figured out, most capable people, the youngest people, healthiest people, did not want to work for the better of people who didn't produce as much. They just didn't want to do it. Why should I plow twice as much land while the other person is not doing their fair share? So they stopped producing. There was no incentive for them to do any good. Discontent grew. Poor productivity. Everything was going bad. And the following year, Governor Bradford, to his credit, said, enough. Governor Bradford abolished the common store system. Each family received a private plot of land that they would manage, that they would work. He incentivized returns for productivity, and prosperity surged. In essence, what happened, William Bradford had stumbled upon capitalism. Now, he may have stumbled upon it, but historically, we've seen all of that happen throughout centuries. People have tried all these things before. This is just something that happened in the New World. So capitalism, or free market economy, as I prefer to call it, all of a sudden began to flourish. A rise of prosperity came about almost instantly. Pilgrims, their trade with Native Americans flourished. They were able to repay all debts. Private property ownership and work for oneself fostered abundance and innovation. After that, the Great Puritan Migration took place. More and more people started to come to these shores so they would be able to enjoy freedom and prosperity like no place else. It's at this point, it is very important for me to take a little trip and figure out how is it that the Pilgrims, who didn't speak any of the Native American languages, how did they manage to communicate with the native populations? And to this end, it's very important to mention one particular character who we know by the name of Squanto. There's actually even a city in Massachusetts called, is it the city? What is it that we have? We have Squantum Road here in Boston. I'll have to look that up, but I've heard the name several times. Squanto, and the story of Squanto, whose real name was Tisquantum, was a native of these shores and a member of the Wampanoag tribe of New England. He was captured in 1614, if I remember correctly. Yes, around 1614, by an English explorer, Thomas Hunt. He was part of John Smith's expedition. He kidnapped Squanto and about 20 other men from the tribe, and they were taken across the Atlantic and sold into slavery in Spain. Yeah, slavery was abundant at the time, and the natives were very well engaged in slave trading. His freedom came in England. In Spain, a group of Catholic friars, Franciscan monks, purchased Squanto's freedom and helped him reach England. There he learned English while working with merchants and ship owners, familiar with voyages to North America. He hatched a plan to return. In 1619, he returned back to North America. After about 5 years in Europe, he joined the English expedition as an interpreter, and he returned to his homeland. What an amazing thing. When he arrived, he discovered that his entire tribe had been wiped out by disease, more likely smallpox or something else, but probably smallpox. 2 years later, he runs into these people, Pilgrims, in 1621. Squanto was living nearby in Wampanoag under Chief Massasoit. All these names are of local places. We have a Massasoit Community College here, not too far from Brockton. It's amazing, once you start reading all of this and what you can actually come up with. You can really see the thread, the history of the United States and in reality, of the modern world is written on these shores. It's etched in stone. In March of 1621, he meets the settlers, and he became their translator, their guide, their teacher. He taught them how to plant corn, fish for eels and for cod, and use the natural resources to survive their unfamiliar environment. It's an amazing story. I mean, there's a lot written on a life of Squanto and how this happened. But can you imagine the divine providence? And by the way, divine providence is something that the Pilgrims actually believed in. They were steeped in it. And how amazing it is to find this man who was kidnapped and sold into slavery, then gets freed, becomes a free man, then gets a job working for people who are running ships out of England, then gets back on the ship as an interpreter and makes his way back home. What an amazing story. Just wow. Squanto helped to broker peace treaties between Pilgrims and the Wampanoag tribes to ensure mutual protection and cooperation. The alliance endured for several decades and allowed the Plymouth colony to establish itself. And, again, Plymouth, it's all here. He did this for years. Well, not that many years. It's about 2 years. He passed away, I believe, in 1622, 1623. I'm not exactly sure. My memory fails. 1622, yes. Checking myself as we go along. So it's an amazing story how this one individual was able to help these religious settlers to develop this land. And immediately upon reaching these shores and establishing a free market system, in 1 year, in one season, really, the Pilgrims were able to repay all their debts and establish a pipeline of immigrants that continues to this day. What an amazing story. So the first Thanksgiving that was held was a Thanksgiving to God for survival, for blessings, for the bounty. It's a celebration of faith, freedom, and prosperity. In reality, if you want to explore what's happening today, it also highlights the failure of socialism and the power of personal responsibility. And so with that in mind, if you carefully listen to the news and you find the people who are doing crazy things today, especially in light of the election in New York City the other day, where the new mayor is clearly espousing himself to be a open socialist. You should take a chapter from the life and failures of our predecessors here on these shores who have tried it relatively recently, because it's nothing but a blink of an eye. Now, how does this go along with the Career Guru podcast and all the other topics? Well, if we talk about anything, it is about personal responsibility and personal gains. In all honesty, this story deserves a lot more airtime than I can currently give. And I'd like to get back to this at some point and have it explore it further and make it a little bit more colorful of a presentation. In the meantime, this little historical blurb on the eve of Thanksgiving and on the eve of all of your financial and personal, professional successes. Remember, it's your personal responsibility. It's your accountability. It's your drive for personal success and growth and development that will lead you to great abundance of wealth that you can use for good. Many people say that money is bad. Well, perhaps it can be, just like anything else in the world, but you can certainly use it for a lot of good. Charity being one of those things that money is very good for, and that brings you personal benefits, the likes of which you can't even imagine unless you start giving charity. Being charitable, being good to others, is one of the most important things that a human being can do for themselves. It is something that transcends time. It is something that transcends death. Charitable acts. If you go to any of the local hospitals, you will find names of people who are long gone, but their names survive with the buildings that they have helped to build through their kindness and generosity and so on and so forth. You'll find that in every hospital in the Boston area, for example, and many, many other places too. Okay, so I wish you all great success, especially on this blessed holiday of Thanksgiving, where we give thanks to the Creator and your ability to continue to do good things for yourselves, for your family, and for others. And on that note, I bid you farewell until our next routinely scheduled podcast. God bless you all. Career Guru signing off.
Well, friends and aspiring career gurus, this was fun. Thank you for tuning in. I feel enlightened, I feel empowered, and I'm feeling grateful that we spend time with you. For more information about Boston Career Institute, please visit our website, bostoncareer.org. Boston Career Institute has 3 campuses located in Brookline, Massachusetts, Malden, Massachusetts, and Lowell, Massachusetts. Call our toll-free number, 888-383-6058. For questions, comments, and/or information about our podcast, email me at thecareerguru@bostoncareer.org. The Career Guru podcast is available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, our website, bostoncareer.org, or wherever you stream your podcast. Subscribe, stream, rate, and review our shows. Your rating and reviews help our show reach new audiences. Produced by PodPro Entertainment, The Career Guru lives within a network of podcasts located at podproentertainment.com. # The New Radio. Looking forward to seeing you soon. All the best to you. My name is Steve Yanofsky. I am the Career Guru. May God bless you. # Let's Career Up.